Alright, so I'm finally getting a chance to test drive the 2021 Cadillac Escalade, and this thing feels huge. It honestly feels like driving a very luxurious bus. I've driven an Escalade before, and they've always felt like a giant vehicle, but this one here feels like a real boss. So here's the thing, I've always had a very special place for the Escalade in my heart. It's always been one of my favorite large luxury SUVs, but it's now facing some new competition, including the BMW X7, which I also really like. That said, I've been driving this thing around for about 4 to 5 days, and there's something that really stood out to me. Competitors like the X7 and the Mercedes-Benz GLS have very cookie-cutter interiors. And what I mean by that is both of those large luxury German SUVs have very nice interiors, but sitting in front of the X7 feels like sitting in the front seat of an X5, and sitting in the front seat of a GLS feels pretty much like sitting in the front seat of a GLE. However, sitting in the front of an Escalade feels nothing like sitting in the front of an XT6 or any other Cadillac for that matter. Well, besides the center console and the steering wheel, but we'll talk about that later. The interior of the new Escalade is very premium, and for 2021, Cadillac has packed some really cool next level tech in here. That said, let me give you a tour of all this cool new tech and the new Escalade, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think about it. But before I do, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like. All right, let's do this. Now, as always, let's kick off things with looking at some of the cool and interesting things about the 2021 Cadillac Escalade, because this thing is packed with some really awesome features. Let's take a look. Now, first up, once you unlock the Escalade and get inside and close the door, there's this really awesome animation that plays on this giant screen. That is really cool. Speaking of screens, the new Cadillac is all about screens. In the front, you have a group of 3 screens that span a massive 38 inches. This is the first car in the world to have a curved display, and there is a lot of information here since it's so big. Now, usually it's always the infotainment and the gauge cluster that are the coolest screens in the front, but in the Cadillac Escalade, this tiny screen here gets all the attention, at least for me. Now, this tiny little screen has a lot of information. First, you have your trip info, trip 1, trip 2, or you can just leave it blank, and then you have your settings here for your heads-up display. That's a cool placement for the heads-up display controls because they're not tucked away in the infotainment system. And then once you tap this little gauge cluster icon right there, it will let you circle through the various gauge cluster options that you have. The first view is your standard gauge cluster view, and it looks really nice, but there aren't any cool animations that happen when you circle through the drive modes, but there's a lot of information here that you can play with. Tap the map icon and you'll get a giant full screen map in your gauge cluster. It's very sharp, very crisp, but we've seen this before as well, so nothing new here. Tap the AR camera icon and that's when the fun really starts. At first, it just seems like a front-facing camera, but when you have a destination set in your native navigation system in the Escalade, not in your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it turns into this awesome augmented reality navigation system that will tell you exactly where you're supposed to go. This is turn-by-turn navigation, taking to a whole new level. By the way, one cool thing here, when you arrive at your destination, there's a giant pin hovering over it. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. And then the last view you have is night vision mode, and it looks very nice. We've seen this in Cadillacs before, but this one here is very sharp and very crisp. And I'm not going to go too deep into details with this infotainment system, but what I do want to point out is that Cadillac has done an amazing job with all these displays. They're pretty much glare-free, and they are very sharp. The infotainment itself, pretty easy to use, pretty straightforward, very quick. It doesn't freeze up at all. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, but the screen for both is very small. Oh, and by the way, there is another screen up here, and it's in your rear view mirror. We've seen this in Cadillacs before. I was never really a big fan of it because it kind of throws me off, but hey, if you want to use it, go for it. And if you thought the screen game was finished, you're wrong, because there are 2 other screens here for the rear entertainment of the second row passengers, and they aren't just your corny run-of-the-mill screens. These are actually pretty nice. You do have 2 HDMI ports right here, so bring along your gaming system if you want to have some fun, and if you have an Android phone, you have Mirrorcast back here so you can mirror whatever's on your Android. I don't have an Android, so I'm going to miss out on that. And for those of you that want to be driven around in an Escalade, instead of driving it, you have a navigation screen back here. And not only can you view it, you can actually input a destination here. Like, let's say I want to go for coffee. I find out, oh, there's a Dunkin', my favorite. And I could send it to the driver in the front. Now, once you do hit send, the driver does have the ability to accept or reject your request. I'm probably most likely always going to hit reject because I'll go where I want to go. Next up, let's talk about this AKG Studio 36 speaker sound system. That's a lot of speakers, and some of them are hidden and some of them are highlighted with this really nice aluminum covering. The sound quality isn't bad at all. In fact, it's really good. You'll enjoy listening to your music in here, but I will say that the Volvo Bowers & Wilkins sound system is definitely my favorite in the industry. Nonetheless, the coolest of the 36 speakers are the ones here in the headrest. Those look really cool, and there's a giant speaker cover that spans the width of the entire dashboard. There are a couple of speakers in there. That's just one big giant cover. Looks really nice. Now let's take a look around outside because there are a ton of Cadillac logos around this Escalade. There's one on the grille, obviously. Then there's one in the back. There's one on each side of the Escalade. Obviously, there's one in each rim of the Escalade. And then you have one hidden right here on the door handles and one hidden right here in the taillights. But the three coolest ones are the ones that light up at nighttime. First, you have this logo right here in the puddle lamps, and it looks pretty nice, and we've seen that before on many cars. The other Cadillac logo sits right behind one of the screens, and when you walk up to it at nighttime, it'll light up and greet you like, hey, remember? You own a Cadillac. Pretty nice. But the coolest Cadillac logo that lights up is the one that projects right here on the back on the right side. Why isn't it in the center, and why is my OCD kicking in? Well, because that's where you do your kick motion to open the tailgate if your hands are full of groceries and you can't reach for your keys. I like that a lot. That's a very cool placement to let you know at nighttime, hey, kick here if you want to open the tailgate. Now, before we move on, there are just two other quick things that I want to point out in the inside of this Escalade. Press this little button right here with the ear on it, and you will activate something called Conversation Enhancement. So Conversation Enhancement is basically the same thing as driver talk or passenger talk in the Hyundai Palisade and the Genesis GV80, and it will let you talk to the third row passengers in the back since they're so far away. I'm going to turn on Conversation Enhancement and throw my mic in the back to let you hear how it sounds. Hey, what's up? This is Omar. I'm testing the Conversation Enhancement thing in the 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Cadillac has taken it a step further by putting a rear microphone in the back so the third row passengers can talk to the driver or the passenger in the front. Let's go back there and take a listen how that sounds up here. Yo, Omar, stop telling me what to do. I don't want to subscribe to your stupid channel. Shut up and drive. Last but not least, here's something that I also saw in the Genesis GV80, and it's here in the Escalade as well. You know how when you have to fold the third row seats, you have to inconvenience yourself, get out of the driver's seat, come back here, and use the buttons over here to fold it? Well, you don't have to do that here because you can do that sitting in the driver's seat by using these two buttons over here. In the Escalade, it's not just a one-push operation. You have to hold them down for the whole folding process. Now I'm going to put them back up, and I'm holding the buttons down, and they're going back up. That's super cool. So how much does the new Escalade cost? Pricing starts at $77,490 for the base two-wheel drive model. If you want all-wheel drive, you're going to have to pay an extra $3,000. And the really long Escalade, the ESV, starts at $80,490 for the two-wheel drive model. And again, $3,000 extra if you want all-wheel drive. Now, both top-of-the-line models, the Premium Luxury Platinum and the Sport Platinum, start at $101,290 for the two-wheel drive. And again, $3,000 more for the all-wheel drive. The one that I'm testing here is the Sport Platinum, which is the one that I would get because it looks really awesome. And as tested here, you're looking at over $112,000. My God. Everything you're seeing here is mainly standard, and the extra $8,000 worth of options here on my test model are just visual. You have $1,995 for these awesome 12-spoke gloss black wheels. These look really nice. An extra $1,750 for the retractable running boards, which light up at night really bright. And then you're looking at an extra $1,225 for this beautiful crystal white color. And by the way, if I was going to get an Escalade, it would definitely be in this color combo. And then you have $135 for the Cadillac logo puddle lamps and $700 for this really nice cooler in the center console to keep your drinks cold. Now let's talk about power and performance. Power comes from a 6.2 liter V8 making 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, and that's made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You can also get this with a 6-cylinder turbo diesel, and a fully electric Escalade is on the way for 2025, which I'm guessing will use the same setup as the GMC Hummer EV. But as for the V8 Escalade here, this will do 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds since this is a bit heavier than the outgoing model, and you have a top speed of 120 miles an hour, and that's okay because you probably won't go faster than that at all in an Escalade. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, you get 14 city and 19 highway. You have a 24-gallon tank capacity, and I've been driving this thing pretty nicely, and I'm averaging a total of 16.3 miles a gallon, so that's not bad at all, actually. Now, let's take a closer look at the exterior design on the new Escalade because it looks really boss, and in my opinion, this is the best-looking large luxury SUV out there. So yeah, Cadillac has done an outstanding job on redesigning the new Escalade and making it really modern. Honestly, most of the large luxury SUVs look really nice. I even like the looks of the Infiniti QX80 because I'm weird like that. But the new Escalade is definitely my favorite. I've always said that my dream garage consists of an Escalade as my large luxury pimpin' ain't easy SUV. This here is a Sport Platinum trim, so it looks cooler than all the other trims with no shiny bling chrome trim on the outside. You can also get the Sport trim in a non-platinum version if you want to save some money. If I were to get an Escalade, it would definitely be in this sport trim, which gives you a giant grille in gloss black. I love giant grills, and I think it looks really awesome here. I also love the way Cadillac describes this on their website by calling it a V-Series inspired blacked out grille, striking a perfect balance between swagger and sophistication. Gotta love marketing. That said, I think the sport trim will definitely attract some young rich buyers to the Escalade. Again, I love the color combo that I have here in crystal white and all blacked out everything, including these awesome 12-spoke black wheels. All Escalades come standard sitting on 22-inch wheels, because anything less than that on an Escalade would straight up suck. I also like the slimmer headlamps on the front, and they do a cool little animation when you walk up and unlock the Escalade. And then here's what they look like with the indicators on. The unlock animation is even cooler on the taillights. When you walk up, they do a vertical up and down animation, and here's what they look like with the indicators on, because I know you guys like seeing that stuff. But yeah, overall the Escalade looks really cool. Definitely a standout design in this large luxury SUV segment. Now before we move on, let's check out the cargo capacity. But before we do, I want to point out that you can just pop open the glass if you want to throw in some smaller items, but to really open it up, you just punch the Cadillac logo and you have 25 cubic feet behind the third row, and with the third row folded you have 63 cubic feet, and with both rows folded you have a massive 109 cubic feet, so you could basically put anything and everything that you want in here. Now once you hop inside the new Escalade, you'll see that it is a very, very nice place to be. It still feels really American, but it feels very upper class American. Let's start up here in the front row where you will be spending most of your time. And now this is the top of the line platinum trim, so everything is wrapped in fine leather. You have leather all over the dash. You have a really nice leather steering wheel. You have leather on the side door panels over here. You even have leather on the center console right here. The only area that I don't like is this area right here. The buttons on the center console are very close to what you get on a lower trim Cadillac, and I guess that's okay because they want to share some of the elements from their lower models to save some cost, but I wish they would have upgraded it to something nicer with like aluminum buttons or something. But yeah, other than that, it's super, super nice in here. The seats are extremely comfortable, and I really like the pattern on the seats of the Platinum model here. Oh, and let's not forget the Platinum trim is the only trim where you will get massaging seats. Now, these massaging seats are actually pretty nice. It doesn't feel like other massaging seats in other vehicles where it feels like a little kid is just sitting behind you kicking your seat. This actually feels really good. That said, you don't have to go for the high-end Escalade to enjoy a lot of the things that you see here, because it is packed with standard features, including the 38-inch curved display with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, as well as a native navigation system. You also get heated front seats and a heated steering as standard, so you can stay warm. If you want to enjoy cooled seats, you will have to step up to the luxury premium trim, and that will also give you a giant panoramic sunroof, and it will also give you a heads-up display and much more. Now, once you hop into the second row, you have 41.7 inches of legroom here in the second row, and it's not bad at all. You can actually slide this row forward and backward if you want more legroom. If you want heated seats back here, you will have to go for the luxury premium and above. And if you want this rear entertainment system, you will have to go for the Platinum model. Now, to get into the third row, all you have to do is pull this latch twice here in the second row, and the seat will fold up just like that. Pretty cool. Or you could just simply climb inside and squeeze through the middle of the second row captain chairs, which is what I'm gonna do because it's easier that way. And once you get back here, you have 35 inches of rear legroom. I'm about 6 foot tall, and I have good room. It's not bad in here. Cadillac did not skimp out at all in caring about the third row passengers. You don't have heated seats back here, but you do get your own USB charging port, and you can use the button right here to get out if you want to get out that way. But I would just recommend walking through the middle because it's much easier. Now, before I give you my opinion on how it is to drive the new Escalade, let me point out a few random things that I'll have to show all of you. You have a total of 6 cup holders, not counting the side door bottle holders. You have 2 in the front, and then you have 2 in the back for the second row passengers right there. And then you have kind of like 2.5 for the third row passengers right there. That's a real cup holder. That's just, I guess, storage. You have them on both sides. Here are what the keys look like for the new Escalade. You know, just like every other Escalade key. Nothing too crazy over here. Nice Cadillac logo right there, though. Let's hear the door open and close sound. You do have soft closed doors on the new Escalade, so that's pretty cool. From the outside and from the inside, pretty solid. And here is how the indicator and horn sound on the 2021 Cadillac Escalade. First, the indicator. Pretty American. And now for the horn. Pretty solid. And now that I've given you a tour of the 2021 Cadillac Escalade, let me give you my opinion on what I think about this giant luxurious yacht. Let's get to it. I've driven every large luxury SUV in this segment, and I have to say the BMW X7 drives the best. It doesn't feel extremely large and it composes itself really well. The Escalade here, on the other hand, feels ginormous. If you're looking for a giant SUV that makes you feel like you're driving a giant SUV, the Escalade will definitely tick that box for you. Nonetheless, the ride quality has improved and it's a bit more refined. You have a new independent rear suspension, you have Cadillac's magnetic ride control, and you have an air suspension, so this is way more comfortable than the outgoing Escalade. It doesn't bounce around like it used to, and when you go over a hard bump, the back of it doesn't go left and right. It stays pretty planted and pretty well composed, but not as planted and well composed as an X7. That said, if I had to pick between a Cadillac Escalade and a BMW X7, I would still go for the Escalade. Why? Well, I've always loved the Escalade, the amount of tech, the comfort, the bells and whistles. Even though my test model doesn't have Super Cruise, the Escalade still remains king of the large luxury SUV segment. So I just filled this thing up from like completely empty and it cost me a total of $69. So I guess it's a good thing that they're working on a fully electric Escalade for 2025. But before that, can I please get an Escalade V Blackwing? That would just make me really happy. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, make sure you share my content with your friends that also enjoy cars. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Omar Drives. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace. Loving the Escalade.